Hi folks, Larry here with CurioMechanics. How's it going? We all know that Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. Or did he? There are several other people and lawsuits that claim differently. He was accused of bribing a patent office worker to get the technical details of a competitor's design. Let's dig into the history of the inventor that isn't taught in schools and find out if he's a genius or fraud. Born in Scotland, young Alec was always fascinated with sound. His mother became deaf, and his father has created a visual symbolic language system to help those with speech and hearing impediments to adapt. His mother had begun to lose her hearing by the time Alec was 12, and he worked with her to innovate ways to continue communicating. He also later married a deaf woman. His talent as an engineer and inventor was recognized at a young age when he used some spare parts to make a husking machine for his friend's family flour mill that got put into daily use for years. He also displayed a talent for poetry and music that was encouraged by his mother. Tragedy struck the family in 1870 when two of his brothers died of tuberculosis. The family then moved to Canada. Shortly after moving to Canada, Alec began working with the local Mohawk Nation to begin translating their unwritten language into the visible symbol language that had been developed by Alec's father. After succeeding in this mighty endeavor, he was given the title of honorary chief in the Mohawk. His experiments had become focused on the areas of sound and electricity. He was convinced that he could combine the two and create a device that would allow creation of recognizable speech through electrical apparatus. In 1872, Alexander opened a school in Boston that got 30 students registered in its first session and whose pupils included Helen Keller. By 1874, he had developed a machine that could use a pen to draw the shapes of sound transmitted over a wire and written on smoked glass. In 1875, Bell had a patent filed for transmitting vocal sounds electrically. That is where our story begins to take a turn for the worse for Alexander. Shortly after filing the patent, a fellow inventor, Elisha Gray, filed a caveat with the patent office, saying that he had already patented the same device that Bell was attempting to claim. That claim was in fact true, but Gray eventually stopped contesting the patent, and the office awarded a patent to Bell. Although the telephone system as we know it still hadn't been finalized, Gray's key technology of using a water-based needle to transmit the electrical signals was used in Bell's telephone after he secured the patent in 1876. Further refinement of the design did bring Bell and Gray's designs far enough apart to be considered distinctly different, but the legal trouble didn't end there. Through a connection with Bell's lawyer, it came to light that Bell had been shown Gray's patent paperwork, and he later stated in a letter to Gray that he had learned some of the technical details. Alexander continued to demonstrate his device and attract business and investment. He eventually formed the Bell Telephone Company and worked to make his new telephone system serve a wider and wider audience across multiple countries. The legal troubles kept coming, though. Over 18 years, the Bell Telephone Company faced at least 587 lawsuits, some of which went all the way to the Supreme Court for patent infringement and duplicate technologies. So this brings us back to the original question of this video. Was Bell a great inventor, or merely mimicking the knowledge he acquired from other engineers and scientists? Let's look to the court records to decide. Bell Telephone was never formally found to have knowingly violated any patent laws and was never ordered to pay restitution to another company. This looks like clear-cut evidence, but let's look a little bit deeper. Many of the lawsuits were over the period of years and brought to higher and higher courts. A lot of the litigants simply didn't have the resources to continue to pursue their action. Gray's patent is an example. While it is commonly accepted that Bell's device did in fact use Gray's design, Gray dropped the action, and that's when the patent was finally released to Bell. It is also reasonable to say that in an era of accelerated scientific research into the same subject, parallel development was a reality. Despite coming to the same results, the engineering was done in earnest without knowledge of the existence of the same technology elsewhere. Because of the passage of time, we will never know for sure exactly how much of Alexander Graham Bell's work was truly created by him. We do know that he had been legally granted the patents and continued to flourish in business, eventually hitting $1 million in personal worth. All of the legal battles did take its toll, however, on Bell himself. Because of all the time he spent in courtrooms and legal battles, he did not have as much time to devote to his first passion, which was continuing to develop ways to help those with speech and hearing troubles. He did, however, go on to create a telephone system that transmitted the information wirelessly over an optical connection. He also created a primitive early version of the metal detector. In 1906, he began working on hydrofoils and hydroplanes and created working prototypes of both. He also worked with other engineers and investors to design and build heavier-than aircraft that were successful. In 1922, Bell passed away due to complications from diabetes. It is fair to say that his contributions to science were useful and helped us move towards a better future that we enjoy today. Despite his many struggles, his legacy is a rich one and has moved the fantastic realm of vocal communication from the realm of the magical to downright mundane. The next time you use your phone, give a thought to the man who spent his entire life trying to enrich the existence of those who might otherwise have a harder time than most. Thank you, Alec, and thank you for taking this journey through time to look at the history of one of today's most popular inventions. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and it helps me get this channel up and running. It is my job, and I'd like to continue to feed my family. Thanks again, and I hope you enjoy your day.